Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live stream today. We have a really exciting stream for you guys because today we're going to be talking about building our network, building our personal CRM so that we can keep track of meaningful interactions and make sure that our interactions with our friends, family, acquaintances, mentors, mentees, all that becomes things that we build over time so that we can build more and more meaningful connections in our lives. And I'm going to show you how to reduce the administrative hassle of managing all of this by creating an automated synchronization with Notion and Google Contacts. So let's get straight into it. So first, as you all know, as we want to go through any of these live builds, we want to really go through the why, what, and how, because the true purpose of these Friday live builds is to help you understand how we think about building systems so that you can do it for yourself. And of course, today you're welcome to follow along. There's so much to do today, and I really want to make sure that you have a really good understanding of, what is the personal CRM, why do we want it, and how are we going to build that synchronization with Google Contacts. So the first idea is that we want to create and maintain meaningful connections in our lives. That's really obvious, right? But not a lot of people know how to do that. And the best way that I know how, the best way that I found out has worked for me is to make sure that I'm keeping track of all the meaningful moments that I have with said friends, right? So if I had a really good conversation with them and I learn about some very deep passion of theirs, or I learn about what they want in life, or I learn about their family. Those are things that I prefer to write down so that I don't forget, right? And when I write it down, I also intentionally put in the process of making sure that memory stays into my brain. It's like when you take notes for class, it's an action of taking the notes that helps you really remember. On top of that, I want to set up like really strong guidelines for myself to reach out to them, right? Because I want to remember to reach out to my friends. Sometimes you have friends that may have, just I've been there for a long time and you take them for granted and you forget to constantly reach out to them because, that's what is deserving of that level of friendship. And at that time, it might seem like, you're a bit distant, but it's not, you just don't remember. So I feel like systems also have a really good way of making sure that you remember who's important in your life and how you can go and pursue that relationship and make that deeper. And also, I think a big why of today is that we want to make the administrative management of that simple. Well, if I'm keeping track of 20, 30, 50, 100 people in my life, it could be quite overwhelming, right? If I have to make sure that that's synced with our contacts by copying and pasting it. And then if I change a number in my contacts, let's say I got a new number and then change it in Notion, like it can get really, really frustrating quickly. So we want to really make sure that we can go ahead and extremely simple as much as we can. So what we're going to build today, what we're going to have at the end of this stream, and hopefully what you'll have at the end of the stream if you're watching, is that first you'll have a personal CRM that we can use in Notion, right? And then we're going to have synchronization with Google Contacts. We can either get a one-way, and I'm really hoping we can get a two-way, but we'll see. But one way for sure, where if Notion updates, Google Contacts will update, and two ways will be if Google Contact updates, Notion will also update as well. And the how. So first, we're going to explain how the personal CRM works, what we've already built out so that you can get it for yourself. And then later, we're going to build out the Google Contact synchronization in N8N. So let's get started. First, we're going to go to the components inside our systems. If you don't know, we build a lot of systems for a better life. This is part of our toolbox at the CoX3 family so that everybody in our family and outside of it, of course, can strive to live a better life with the systems that can help them manage different parts of their lives and organize themselves and stay motivated and whatever else the system can help you do within those specific categories. So one thing we're going to go straight into is My Network. And My Network is a free template that we've provided everybody. And the reason why we've created this and made it free as part of the Be Intentional system is that we really think that, being intentional with your network and your friends and your family is really the first step of being intentional with your life. The core, deeper concepts of being intentional is, of course, planning out, your goals, your key results, your projects or tasks. And I think that comes along, later on when you have started really organizing the periphery of what your life is and how you go about creating intentionality within the people around you and your community. So really important template to me. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to explain enough so that even you could build it by yourself, even if you didn't want the whole template. But again, it's free. If you want to go grab it right now, it's at toolbox.co-x3.com. You can go to the Be Intentional section and you can just pick it up. But of course, I would love to teach you here as well how to build it so that you know exactly the in and outs of how it works and what makes it really so important. So the first thing is, let's open up some random person, right? And these are all examples, right? And what we see is that we have content frequency, we have relationship. Also, first, let's explain one by one. Contact frequency is a select property. You kind of just explain, how often do you want to meet this person? And this usually will have some correlation with how affectionate you feel with them. What's your affection score with them, which I'll explain in a little bit. Then you talk about your relationship, right? Are they a mentor? Are they a teacher? Are they a family, partner, friend, community? Someone you met in university, someone you met in high school, acquaintance, whatever it might be. This is a multiple selects because you can have a high school classmate that is also a friend. You can have a university connection that's also a mentor. It can really go all ways. So multi-select is best for this. Industry. Well, industry is interesting because I put multi-select because you can change industries, right? Some people have changed drastically from legal all the way to real estate, all the way to marketing, all the way to banking, all the way to whatever it might be. So this should be as open as possible and you can have multiple categorizations. What is useful though is that try to keep similar categorizations together. So for example, software engineers and software developers, probably roughly the same thing. Probably want to put that under software, right? The reason behind that is because later on, if you want to find someone specific in your network to help you solve a problem and you're searching that by industry, it'll be quite frustrating if you were trying to search like 3 different softwares at the same time. But of course, it's up to you. But I do think that having some kind of categorization that is a bit more general, at least at this point, is helpful for you if you want to find people in your network that is within a specific field. Location is also very nice. Location also multi-select because you could be in multiple places, right? For example, just a few years ago, I was in Vancouver, I was in Toronto, and I was in Singapore. 3 different places. Obviously, COVID has changed that, but definitely you may have 3 different locations so that, again, the intention is if you want to find someone in your network in a specific area of field or a specific area of the world, you can easily find that through this categorization. Organization, of course, also very important. You can put in different places where people can be employed and also hold their organizational relation. Birthday is super important. We have really cool formulas in this database that helps you really keep track of people's special days. So basically what happens with birthday, once you put it in, we have this property. I'm going to show some things, right? We have some property that shows when the next birthday is. So it's basically just going to add a year to today's year. If it's within this year, then it's going to just show this year. So November 27th is within this year. So it's going to say next birthday is that. And then it's going to say there's no special events yet, right? But let's say this was closer to today. So let's say this was in let's say it was June 13th, right? Then it'll say that their birthday is in 9 days. So, and they're 37 years old. So these are really good information for you to really keep track of so that, you can be there for people's special days and also prepare gifts in advance and, just a brief reminder, right? To help you keep intentionality and into your life. So the next thing is, of course, keeping your phone numbers as well, email address, and address as well. These are pretty standard. I mean, whatever you want to keep track so you know how to actually contact the person. And I think the really cool thing is that once you do contact them, then what, right? So we have this thing called last contacted, where if, for example, in this notable chat, right? So we save also the conversations. If we have a date here, and I'm just going to make a manual date. Let's make a manual date here. Manual date. And if we have I'm going to change this to automatic date just to show you what I mean. Automatic date. So basically, if we have a date here and normally it pulls from our daily quest when we had that conversation, but if we do want, we could make a date where we had a conversation. Let's say we had a few days ago. The formula, what we can do is if there's no automatic date, if there is an automatic date, then we show automatic dates. Otherwise, we show manual dates. So manual dates. So what happens is like that. So now what we see, let me just show you if I go back a few. Inside John Smith, we see now that we last contacted them 3 days ago, right? And we should contact them soon again. So if I change the, let's say I change the contact to, okay, so let's go back to the notable chats. I just want to show you if this was at least a week ago. So let's say, a bit more ago, then you'll see that they automatically start saying that I should speak to them sooner. So let's move the birthday off a little bit as well. So now it says like, hey, last seen May 14th, I should probably reach out to them. It's exclamation marks. So I want to go reach out. So you can see that it has a lot of really, really good components. Plus it gives you a view that, helps you really categorize who should reach out to first, right? Depending on the person who's weekly and you just last contact them, May 14th versus someone that you want to reach out monthly versus someone you want to reach out daily. Who is the most important person to reach out to right now? And usually I would go out in every single day and reach out to 3 different people that I find very important and meaningful to my life. Now let's talk about the affection scores. And this is something that people have been asking me about a lot because I've come up with the concept of affection scores, I think around, 6-7 months ago. And I shared it within my community. And it's been really popular because a lot of people have been using it to set, adequate boundaries between themselves and their friends so that they don't get taken advantage of, and also they don't end up taking advantage of others in terms of people's hospitalities and people's giving and people's care and attention. So let me explain it to its full detail, and hopefully this gives you some understanding of why this is such an important concept when it comes to dealing with people in your network, when it comes to building meaningful connections. Why do you need affection scores? So the first thing I want to say is that it's not about being like on a high horse and saying like, hey, you don't deserve my love, therefore I'm not going to care about you, etc., etc., etc. That's not what it means, and it should never also be used as a way to extort or hold someone hostage for their time. It's like, hey, I put you a certain affection score, that's why you must hang out with me, right? Or I think you're a certain affection score, and therefore I have expectations of what you do and what you might not do. I think it's a bit toxic and a bit dangerous to kind of think that way. What I suggest in this case, what I'm suggesting for affection scores, it's more about you, right? Because the thing is, everybody is busy. Not everybody is going to have the opportunities to, be there for you in the ways that you might be looking from the highest tier from your friendships. And vice versa, right? You might not be there for everybody in their every moment based on your commitments and the things that you have to do in your life. So what you want to do with affection scores is really to help you define who are you willing to go the extra mile for, simply because you know that they do the same for you. And also, what will you expect out of these levels, right? What are the things that you'd hope that people at a certain affection score will be able to contribute to your life in a tangible way? So the way that I like to think about it, first the guidelines, right? I use a frequency to test the levels, the frequency of contact. So I'll be specific. I use the contact frequency to test the levels. And I really want to make sure there's reciprocal value, right? I think a lot of us end up finding ourselves in situations and relationships where we're giving a lot and we might not feel like a lot is given back to us. And again, that's fine. Giving is our responsibility, and giving on their side is their responsibility, to be certain. But it's also good to make sure that there is giving in a way that you feel like you're also valued and taken care of as well. So you also want to try creating your own learning from the experience, right? Whether or not that was as meaningful as you wanted to, the most important thing is that you're writing it down and setting it in stone so that you kind of really know like, hey, next time it's either I do more things to try to make it more meaningful, or I say that this is not so as meaningful as I want it to be, so then we move on to the next relationship, right? And really you have to be a bit more pragmatic with this, because I think there's many people out there in the world, many cool people, I promise you. So there are many opportunities for us to meet the people that we want to meet and really build the connections that would stand the test of time for us and really create something intentional and meaningful for our life to come. And then you also want to determine like, what are the requirements of being a certain level? How often do you minute for conversation? What do you expect of this relationship? We talked about that just now. So then we talk about the levels, right? And this is just my personal levels. This is for something that, maybe you can reference. My personal level is, level 5. Let's go from level 1 actually. So level 1 is like, hi, bye friends. We don't talk at all. But if you want someone to do something, you just ask, and you just chat with them from time to time. They're acquaintances, right? / friends of friends. Level 2 is around 20% on my network. I'd say will be there. People who have spontaneous meetings will talk when needed. If they need something from me or if I need something from them, this is how we kind of communicate. But really, that's around 20% of the network, in my opinion. And of course, by the way, you're always trying to help people get up above and levels. Ideally, everyone in your network becomes level 5, right? That is the goal. But the thing is, just at the risk of time and the risk of opportunity, you're not going to have that many chances to move everyone up. So as often as you can, you want to keep pushing the intentionality. So we say that, hey, level 1 might be you don't talk at all, but you want to move into level 2 where you want to have spontaneous meetings. You want to randomly say, hey, let's go have lunch, right? That's the kind of conversations you want to have. Then level 3 is around 50% of your network would be people that you meet at least once a week or once a month. You want to have them think about me sometimes. You want to talk once a month. This basically gives you an opportunity to really keep in contact with them, and you still hold the boundary of like, hey, maybe I don't go out with them every single week, but I will at least. Maybe I will. I won't. I think this should be flipped actually. So I think you should meet at least once a month, at least once a month, at least once a month, and then think about me, talk to me once a week via text, etc. So what this gives you opportunities wise is that you can at least talk to them quite often, right? But you might not meet up because you might not have the opportunities to, in terms of geographical regions or in terms of whatever constraints you might have throughout your workday. And then you want to move them to level 4, right? People that you might meet daily. You guys understand each other. You talk at least once a week. Aside from meeting daily, and it really gives you the opportunities to build up connections and build up the interactions that you want in your life. And then finally, the last level is the 10% at the top, people that really have all your attention. There's equal priority in terms of I want to reach out to this person, I want to be with this person, they want to be with you as well, perhaps even live together, right? And you talk daily. So this is really reserved for like the family members, right? Or housemates, or people that you really can have a meaningful connection with, that you want to continuously build time and time again and have that constant interaction. So that's really how I think about affection scores. If you guys have any questions, that you can feel free to ask me. I'm always very happy to be open about this, but really my personal boon that has been coming out of this, that after I was able to determine these scores, is that first thing is I don't feel like I lose myself in relationships anymore, in terms of like friendships, acquaintances, whatever. I don't feel like I overexert what I can do for other people, and of course I'll do anything I can for my friends. That's besides the point, but at least I know that to what extent I will go, so that I can protect myself and make sure that there is enough of me for the people who really care about me as well, and want to have more time and attention and care and interactions between us, and we want to build our relationship more and more. And then the last thing I think that has been really helpful for this is that I am consciously trying to help my relationships get more and more deeper. Every time I go into a relationship, I'm like, okay, so right now, if I say that they're level 2 right now, we only talk when needed, we're only having spontaneous meetings, how can I make that into a more recurring meeting? How can I set up a structure where I want to meet them at least once a month, right? And talk at least once a week? Then I have that. Then how do I get someone that I can see daily, right? If I really want to learn more about them, be part of their lives, and vice versa, that's something that is really important. And I think all this process, what it helps you do at the end of the day, is that no matter where you go in the world, no matter what kind of people you end up meeting, you know how to find the right people for you. And I think that's very powerful. And I wish, as a superpower, honestly, I wish I had much earlier on in my life. So definitely something that I recommend you take a look at and checking out. And yeah, so besides this, I won't go into too much detail because I think we have other live streams covering it. But we have a lot of different add-on templates to this, which is like keeping track of the gifts that you're giving each other, right? So you're intentional about what you can give them next, that it doesn't duplicate a gift you've already given before. Meaningful conversations that you saved, we talked about that before, but the intention is that you can keep track of big moments that you've kind of talked about, so that when you have those conversations again, you can revisit them in a meaningful, intentional way. And also we also have additional things that connects to other databases, like doctors that they recommend, that connects to their health tracker, and also meals that they've kind of cooked or shared with you, and then that's also parts in meals tracker as well. So just everything in our system kind of really connects to each other if you wanted to, and I think that's pretty amazing, and yeah, something I really enjoy and appreciate. So I think at this point, let's move on to connecting this to Google Contacts. So let's assume that these are the 3 contacts we want to save inside of Google Contacts. How do we do it? What do we do it? What do we do? And where do we go from there? So I really want to make sure that this is something that everyone understands. And by the way, everyone can do that pretty much for free. So I do want to make sure that this is something that you guys can really get the best out of this. And it's all democratized information anyways. So first thing is my preferred contacts list is Google Contacts simply because I use an Android phone. If you use iCloud or iPhones, I believe you can still use Google Contacts to save and sync your contacts across your devices as well anyways. So I still recommend using it. Personally, I haven't found anything better yet. If you know anything better, do let me know. But for me, Google Contacts is my preferred contacts of choice. And what I do with this is basically normally if you think about, creating your contacts list, you just create a new one every single time. You click this big fat button, create contacts. I'm now challenging that. I'm now saying that, hey, I know who I want to contact. I know these people. I want these to be taken from my Notion into my Google contacts. So how does that work? Well, I've had a live stream where I introduced the idea of N8N, and I've built out a workflow live in front of you guys. If you guys don't know what that is, just a quick breather. N8N is basically a open source variant or alternative to tools like Zapier or Automate.io or Make or Integromat or all these different places where they might charge you a fee to basically run a certain amount of API calls, right? Different kind of connections. But here NAN is unlimited as long as you have a server for it. So on the one hand, I have taught you how to create a server for a nominal fee, like $5 a month, or you can join the Coix3 family and we actually offer you a server for free if you want to use it. We have a community server for our patrons, so you can definitely check that out as well if you're interested in that. So that's part of the benefits that we provide. But really, this has been the best tool for us because really unlimited kind of connections, unlimited calls every single day, every single month. You can see that I actually have so many calls that going on at every single minute. I have one call from for my own Google Calendar, Notion Sync, for Notion Wins to our Make More Fun app, for pushing reviews that people give us into our websites. Like we just use it for a lot of things, and we think it's very fantastic. So definitely check it out. I really recommend it, and yeah, it's a great place to be. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create a connection that's going to help us synchronize Google Contacts and Notion. So the first thing is we want to grab Notion. So we want to get our Notion contacts. So what we want to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new credential just to show you how everything works. So I'm going to create a new credential and I'm going to create a new API key. So how you would do that is you go back to Notion, you would go to your settings, and then what you want to do is you can go to integrations, and then we're going to create a new integration here, and we say develop your own integrations, new integration like this, and then we're going to call this one, let's say Google Contacts, right? Because that's something that we want to do. Associate workspace right now for me is Coix3, I believe. Yep, perfect. And then read contact, update contact, insert contact. That makes sense. And then we're going to click submit. We're going to grab this integration token. So we're going to click show and then grab it. For me right now, I don't mind showing it to you guys because I'm going to change it anyways after we do this. But for sure, keep this secret, okay? Don't let other people use it. This is supposed to be secret as much as possible. So then we're going to go into here. We're going to paste our API key. That's what it is. We're going to click save. And then let's retry what's going on. Retry. Let's see what's going on. Little testing function. That's perfectly fine. That's no problem. So basically, we have this now. We also want to rename this. This is Google Contacts. Test connection. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click save. And now that we have that, we can close this and we can test it just by running it here. So now we want to pull in a database. So database, gets database. And what we're going to do is we're going to find this, my network database. What we can do is we can click these 3 dots. I believe this is a good way of going there. Okay, the easiest way for me, which could be a bit complicated for everyone else, but I just click this and then I click open this page, and then I can go from my network from there, and this is the main database that you can go to. So what we do is click share, we click copy link, and then what we can do from here is we can go over to our N8N and we can paste this link into here, and let's see what we get when we execute in the node. So let's see, cannot find, perfect. So I get to explain to you guys what that looks like. It's because we didn't click share and we didn't share the integration. So we want to add the integration for contacts, Google Contacts, that's integration, invite. And now if I go back to N8N, I can execute node and this should load everything as I expected. Wonderful. So I was able to get the database. That's not all I want. I want to get the database pages within the database. So I want to get all pages in the database. Let's limit to 50 for now, just for our case of that. Let's go here. This looks weird. Let's reset the value. Database name. Let's go ahead and open it up again. There we go. So my network is where I want to go. And let's go ahead and execute node. Let's see what happens here. Very cool. So this is basically the 3 entries that we have inside my network, 3 items, and we can see all 3 of them already. So what we want to do right now is we also want to add a last modified on, so we at least can see when something was modified and when something should be pushed over. So there's a lot of ways when you start tackling these kind of integrations that you can do. For instance, I can say that I only want to push my networks in when I have a checkbox that says, hey, sync over. That's how we do it for our Make Work Fun app, where we have our tasks that we specifically want to sync over. We just click a check mark and say, hey, sync that over now. Another way to think about it is when you want two-way sync, it's probably better to have something that has a modified date, because a modified date will basically give you the opportunity to really make sure that there is a constant flow of information. So what we can do is we can check if the last sync on here is greater than the sync on Google Contacts, or last saved is more recent than the Google Contacts one, and then we can do the connection like that and decide to overwrite information if necessary. For now, let's just go ahead and move forward, but I will show you the nuances in this so that you know exactly what would be possibly something for you to note here. So what we want to do now is we want to get Google Contacts. We just put Google Contacts here. We're going to add the credentials. This is a new credential for us, and we're going to see how we can connect this. So for this, it's going to teach us how to create an OAuth 2 API. I will show you how to do this quickly. Because I need to do this for myself here on this test account anyways. So basically what it's asking you to do is saying that you want to go ahead and create a OAuth from your Google Cloud Console. So we're going to follow the instructions here. It's very clear. Google Cloud Console, we're going to open that up. It's going to say here. And what I'm going to do, oops, cancel. What I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to the test account just so that I can show you from scratch. I agree, and we agree and continue. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to create a new project, I believe. Let's see. No, API services and credentials. So we want to go there. So like this, API services and credentials. Enabled API services. Is that what it is? I think I still need to create a project. Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. New project. Let's say Google Contacts test, and then we're going to say there's no organization. That's perfectly fine. I believe we can just create that. Now that that's created, it's going to sync that for a second, and in this time we can also go back. Oh no, it's okay, it's fast enough. So we have credentials now, so we're going to say create credentials, and then we're going to say OAuth client ID, I think, web application. I think it's this one, OAuth client ID. And then once we have that, let's configure our consent screen. Yeah, asking us to configure the consent screen. Perfect. Let's see if there's any instructions here. Nope, there isn't. So let's go with, say, internal. Oh, I need to make it external. All right. And then now we call this Google Contacts sync with Notion. User support email can just send to this. App logo is fine. App domain is fine. I think this is all okay. Authorized domains. Well, I think this one needs to be my nan.family.x3.family is the server that I'm using for the nan instance. So let's go ahead and do that. Authorized domain x3.family. Awesome. Email contact, again, I'll just use the same one. Let's go ahead and save that. Next. Okay, let's just go ahead and save and continue. Save and continue. Back to dashboard. Perfect. So once you get that, basically now what you want to do is grab the URL. So what we want to do is in here, client ID, I believe we have this. So client ID, we have this in credentials. Okay, we haven't created credentials yet. There we go, client ID, web application, let's call it Google Contacts sync with Notion. And then what we can do is just click save, I think. I don't think we need much more than that. Let's just see. Yeah, I think that's okay. Just click save. Now we have our client ID. By the way, keep this secret. Again, I'm doing this on stream because I want to show you guys how to do it. But you do want to keep this as secret as possible so that no one else steals your information or at least intercepts this. This is all pretty important stuff. So I'm going to click sign up with Google. And the redirect URI. Okay, so you can't see right now, but there is an error, redirect URI mismatch. So I'm gonna just go ahead and double check this. I need to add this redirect URI to our credentials here. So with the consent screen, I'm going to add one more thing here, edit app. I'm going to add a redirect URI. I think I need to add .x3.admin. I think I need to do that specifically. Must be a top domain. Okay. Interesting, interesting. So let's see what is lacking here. Credentials, let's see. So this is something that you might come across too. So that, here, this is it. So this is what I need to add here. Save. And then now if I sign in with Google again, let's see what happens. I sign in with Google. Perfect, it works. So let me switch over now to show you everything that I'm seeing. So I'm gonna just click this so that you can see that. Now I can see, so it's asking me to sign in. So I'm gonna click on this. It's gonna ask me for access. Yep, send me a text message. And then what I'm going to do is make sure I have that open. So let's go ahead and open that. I have my code now. Okay, I'm gonna save that. And let's go. Access denied. Interesting. Okay, let's see what else can be done here. The developer hasn't given you access to this app. Oh, okay, I need to specifically give access to myself. Interesting. Well, this is me. That's so interesting. Okay, well, I mean, it's fine. Let's see what we can do here. What we have here is Google Contacts sync with Notion. So let's see who can do that. Authorize JavaScript origins. I think I can also add NAN family like that. Save. And then consent screen, I think this whole app needs to have specific users. There we go, test users. Yeah, only test users can use this. I think that's why. And we're gonna say our own email. So I believe what's lacking right now is I need to add this here, save that. Okay, now let's try that again. And it's all try and error, so it's really good to make sure that you are not averse to that because no one's going to be perfect from day one. And what you want to do is you want to just make sure that you can test everything as much as you can and learn from that experience. So right now we want access to our Google account. You say they can see all these things. Yeah, we probably want to allow that. So let's go. Its account is connected. Amazing. So now what we have, and let me just switch back to this view. What we see is that we can go ahead and add our contacts and create. And there's a bit of fields that we can save. So let's see what we can save here, okay? So we have information coming in, so we can add stuff, expressions, and this current node has input data. And we can see all this information that's all there for us, right? So what we want to do is we want to see what is the proper information we want to capture right now. Well, first we want to get the name. So where is the name? So interestingly enough, I don't see name here. Here, property name is Jane Doe. So here. But what we might want to do is we want to go ahead and split up the first name and the last name, right? So we can either do that inside Notion or we can do that inside this integration. Personally, I would prefer to do it inside Notion because Notion will give me the opportunities to be more specific. So in Notion, if I were to specifically say like, hey, Mary Jane's first name is Mary, last name is Jane, I think that is much better. So I'm actually going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to add first name here. So first name, and then I'm going to say last name, just so that this can last name or given name, right? So just so that this can surname. Here we go. So given name, and then this is surname. Right, so then we have an opportunity to really save this and keep it synced as well. So I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. So let's go ahead and go back to this and rerun this node so that we see that new information. And obviously now I realize that I should also put information into here. So Mary Jane, just like that. And then we'll do John Smith, just like that. And then we can also do Jane Doe, just like that. So that makes it a lot easier for us to keep everything in sync. So what we want to do now is we want to go ahead and with this new information, I need to execute the node one more time, just so that we have that information. Perfect. One more thing is I'm going to return all because we're probably going to have more than that. And we want that information. So we have property name. That's not what we want. We want property surname and then property first name, right? So surname, Doe, right here. And I think first name is somewhere here as well. It's okay. We'll see it when we go ahead and do it. Yeah, first name is right here, Jane. Okay, cool. So now what we have that is family name. We can go ahead and grab the input data, JSON. And we're going to say this is our surname. So surname right here, that's Doe. And then we can say our given name here, we add an expression. Again, this is input data, JSON. And this would be the first name, which is Jane. And then what we have here is then we can go ahead and add more fields. So we definitely want to add birthday. So birthday is something we want to add. So birthday, we go ahead and we add birthday from here, the start date, because there's no end date for the birthday. We want to add another field for emails. So emails is really important. We're going to say home. And this email is going to be all about our email here. So let's go ahead and add that. So property email. And they might not have that here, right? So it says null. So we're going to see examples where it's nulled. And then we're going to add information. Let's add phone for sure. So phone, we're going to do home. And then this phone number, we're going to add an expression. We already have the phone numbers here as well. I know right now it's null. We're going to add that just like so. And then personally, I don't want to add more information because I don't think more information needs to live on Google Contacts. I actually want them to come back to our Notion page if they want to see more details like the conversations we had and address information and all that stuff. So what I want to do here is I want to add a custom field such as the notes. So let's go ahead and add notes here. And notes is where I'll add an expression again, and this time I'll add the URL. So let's go ahead and add the URL, just like that. So now we have the URL. And one more thing I'm going to add, I want to check on the group. What does group give us? Well, group, basically we want to add the different groups that this person belongs to, right? If it's coming from my network, basically I want to be able to add my network as one of the groups that they belong to. And also I want to be sure that I can add different things like, you know, what industry they're part of and stuff like that to make it really easy for me to find. This one we might need to do some finessing because I haven't tried this yet. So we want to see what we can do here. So first, let's go ahead and find that property for industry, just like that. I don't know if we want to do just a 0. Oh, I think that's fine, just a 0. Okay, actually that makes a lot of sense. So only one of the industries. We also want to do something like this. So we want to say my network. Okay, can I just type my network? recruitment. Okay, and then we might want to add also location. So let's also add location, NYC. So what we do here is this 3 dots. It's just, I think it's a notation for doing it this way. We'll just find out later. I'm not too worried, but I think that's the notation that we're looking for. So let's just see how that works. And I'm almost certain I need to put a quotations around this so that it'll stop complaining. No, apparently it's still complaining. All right, we'll see. Okay, perfect. Now let's do some examples where we actually have phone numbers. So let's go ahead, +1 905 77909 888. Let's add some emails as well. Example jane@example.co. So I'm going to add some things like that. John, let's say he's in Singapore. And then email is going to be john@example.co. And then lastly, Mary Jane could be +1 222 323 4444. And then this is mary@jane.co. Okay, cool. We have some information there now. This looks good. I'm also interested. There's one more thing that I saw here that I didn't see before. I'm gonna see. There's something called relations. What is relations? Oh, relation to different people. That's cool. Okay, later on we can use something like that. That's super cool, actually. Okay, cool. Let's grab the information now from Notion. So we just click on this and then we're pulling in information. And now we have all this wonderful information. Let's open up Google Contacts and let's see what's in here. Again, I don't like this. Forbidden. Please track your credentials. Maybe adding group is not allowed. We'll see. Let's just click execute node and let's see what happens. Okay, additional fields group.map is not a function. So that means we can't add group. What if I just added my network? I'm just curious. What if it's just my network? And let's remove the expression. Interesting. I think it's complaining that we can't add groups. Okay, well that's not too bad, but oh, it's because we can't create new groups. Wait. Let's see if that's the case. So right now I have labels. No, I do have my network here. Let's see. I do have my network there. That's besides the point. Yeah, I have my network there. Okay, well first let me just save this error message. But I also am very curious if someone else has found this problem before. So I'm just gonna Google this really quick because I want to show you guys how we're able to try this. This is N8N Google Contacts. Let's go ahead here. Yeah, okay, I think it's fine. I think for now, let's just remove the group. I'll figure out what to do about that. But yeah, it's just an additional thing that we might want. If everything else works, I'm pretty happy. So let's just see if that is the case. So we can go ahead and, okay, people API. Ah, interesting. Okay, so it's saying that we don't have the people API enabled, which is correct because we just created the OAuth and we need to actually give the people API instructions. So let's go ahead and switch. Oops, I need to switch to my user. I need to go back to here. Dismiss, and let's go ahead and use this. Okay, let's just go to here first. Enabled APIs and services. I'm pretty sure we need to go add people in here. People API. There we go. And then now we're going to enable. Looks like this will work. Awesome. So that's up and going. So we're almost there. And I'm seeing some people saying hi in the chat. Hi there. Good to see you guys. Really good to see you, John. Awesome to see you. It's been a while. And what we have here now, okay, I'm just curious now because we're able to do that. I really want to know if I'm able to now add that group and not have a problem. So let's see, add group. Oh, lovely. So it's all there now. Okay, lovely, perfect. So we're gonna add expression. Okay, what happens if I add multiple groups? I'm just really curious. So expression, So it's commas. So looking for commas right now. Okay, that's cool. So let's look for commas. And I think what I will keep that because my network is there, right? That one's my network. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this JSON like this. So actually, let me just do an example for everybody so that I don't have to do it. You don't have to worry about it. But basically, comma, and then comma. I think that will be the best answer for us. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to now go and do our Google contacts. We're going to just delete this label so we don't get confused. And then we're going to run this one more time just so that we have everything clean and clear. And I think we're very close, guys, very, very close to getting it all done. So one thing we're going to do now is Google contacts. We're going to go ahead. Oh, let's see what this is. The values are not supported. Okay, so we can only do groups that we already know. Interesting. Okay, so groups in the end is still unfortunate. Yeah, groups in the end is still like, it's only the ones that we create and then we have to do a drop down. And I believe then that will become quite frustrating. So at least, so I think the steps to do this, by the way, I think the simplest thing to do, and we always want simplicity here. So we just create a label, call it my network, okay? So go to your Google contacts, create the labels that you want already. And basically what you want to do here is once you have that, you can just refresh the list and just make sure they're all going to my network. I think simple as that. You can't do anything more, and I think that's okay. So reset value and then my network. There we go. So now it's in my network all the time. We're going to click execute node. Let's see what goes on. We're really close. And I think now we finally have our one-way sync from Notion to Google Contacts. We've saved 3 of them. Let's see if that's true. I'm going to refresh here on Google Contacts. We have 3 people, right? They're all part of 9 network, which is amazing. Now you have 3 people and you have Jane Doe, John Smith, Mary Jane. Let's take a look. We have everything we need. Birthdays, the link as well, back to Notion. Fantastic. John Smith, let's just like that. And then Mary Jane, just like that. So now what we have is our one-way sync from our new creations. This is actually just the creation of them, right? So this is the first time they get created. This is what we want to do. This is the kind of creation process we want. But what about when we update things, right? Because it's not a true sync if things update and nothing happens, right? So what we want to do is, so this is still important, by the way. We're going to still keep this because every time new ones comes in, we still want to update them, but we may not want to create context anymore if it already exists. That's the most important thing. So how do we let Notion know that this already exists, or how do we check Google Contacts if it already exists? That's the first thing I want to do. So what we want to do now is we want to add another Google Contacts. Oh, this one is going to be a search, right? So we're going to search for contacts. We're going to say retrieve, or let's see, get a contact. And if it doesn't exist, and then we can do something, or we can update a contact ID. I think the best actually is just to update a contact ID. I think that's just the most clean and clear. So basically what we want to do now is, now that we have this Google Contacts, I want to go back to Notion and write in the Google Contact. So at least the Google Contact there is synced both ways. So we're going to do one thing. We're going to add, we're going to take the Notion and we're going to write back to it. So we're going to say test connection. We're going to write back to a specific page. The page ID is going to, database page. We're going to update this page. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and, so I think this also has the URL notes in metadata. Yeah, okay, it's in metadata, so it's not helpful. Okay, no problem. So that means that what we can do is we can grab it from Notion instead, the first Notion. So what we can do is, this one is gets all, so this is gets all entries, right? Get all Notion entries, get all Notion contacts. Save that, and then this one is create Google Contacts. Create Google Contact, and that's only for the ones where they need creation. And I think, okay, get all new Notion contacts. I think this is specific, and I'll show you why. what we're going to do here is we're going to add one more field that says Google contact. I believe it's called ID. Let's double check. Google contact ID. Yep, Google contact ID. And basically what we're going to do here is if there is no, so filter by, let's see, filter by must match all filters. And we're going to add a condition is if there is a Google contact ID. So let's refresh this list. Google contact ID is not empty. Okay, so now we know that this is only for new creations that haven't been synced before. And then now what we want to do here is we want to update Notion with contact ID and save that for now. And then we go ahead and grab this. So the expression would be from the first node. So from the first node, get all new Notion contacts. We're going to grab the URL. So that's going to be the property, and we're going to add a property. We're going to add information. We're going to add Google Contact ID, which is going to be information from the previous node. Excuse me, with previous node. And then we have Contact ID right here. So now it's going to save it all the way back. So let's go ahead and click run. Hopefully this runs smoothly. Perfect. And now if I go back to my network, you can see the Google Contact ID is saved just like that. So that's really nice. I'm really, really happy with that because that means that we already have our two-way sync. We already have a notification that lets my network know that this is something that is already existing inside Google Contacts, so it won't pull it out. So now what we have is this is the first creation. So what we can do is we can add a cron or interval. I like interval. They're both the same thing, honestly. But for every one, let's say hour, right? You can make it shorter if you want. But for every 1 hour, we're going to check. So on every hour, we're going to check for, every hour, we're going to check for new Notion contacts. It's going to create new ones if there is, and then we'll update Notion back with the contact ID. And just one more quick thing, because we really want to make this a clean sync, is that if we have received an update to Notion contacts, right? So Notion so Notion contact updated, right? So only for the ones that wait. Oops. Okay. Notion contact updated. So I think I did something a little bit wrong here. I think this should be only for if Google Contact is empty. My bad. So only if it's empty, right? That's when it's new. And when it's not empty, that means it's something that's already it's being updated, right? So it's not empty. So if I run this, this should show me 3 items because they're not empty right now. Let's just double check. Fantastic. So what we want to do now is we want to get the Google Contact. So let's go ahead and get the Google Contact. Get Google Contact. And from here, we're going to just get the contact. We're going to get the contact ID. So add expression, previous node will have the contact ID. So let's go ahead and property Google Contact ID. And I want to get basically, let's see, I want to get the last updated if there is that information. But for now, let's go ahead and just do star because I'm curious on what it will give me. By the way, guys, don't forget to hydrate. Drink some water. Stay hydrated, guys. Yeah, so what I'm looking for right now is last updated, which actually doesn't look like they have that information, which is super fascinating. I wonder if I do raw, if they'll give me anything different. Let's just take a quick look because I'm really curious. If there isn't, then I think it's just one way. Then that's what we do. Like the Notion will always just be the main. Here we go. Update time. Lovely. This is what I want. Okay, so we have update time. That's fantastic. And then what we have here is update time right there. So I want to grab that information. So I'm going to go ahead and compare information. So I'm going to run a node, a function node that compares that. So first, let's save this whole workflow so I don't lose this. So Notion Google Contact. Okay, perfect. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get some work that I've already done previously with the Google Calendar Notion sync. And you can see this is much more complicated because Google Calendar is that much more complicated. But I actually have somewhere where I have this math that shows like, you know, if it's a new event or not, or sorry, if events is, yeah, later occurred after or beyond. So this is what I want. Yeah, this is the node I want. So I'm gonna grab this node. I'm gonna pull it over. I'll explain it as well, just so you understand it as well. But if our G contacts, okay, and then what I want to do here is I want to update this. So node modified on. So this node specifically is going to be for Notion contacts updated. So Notion contact updated. Okay, so modified on, and that doesn't exist. So right now we need to go and say modified on and make this a last edited time. Okay, so that's information is there. And then this specifically, I want to get information. Okay, so dot set seconds is the main thing I want. So that's fine. I'll just put it in later. But what I want right now is from the current node, from the previous input data, I want to get the metadata, sources, item, update time. Perfect. And then we can go dot set seconds. Something is wrong there. Let's see why. That's null. That makes sense. And then this one is, I think I need to wrap this whole thing. Okay, let's see. Update time, 0. Update time. What's the difference? Modified on. Oh, I need to do new date as well in the front. Okay, so new date in the front as well. So new date. And then set seconds. Perfect. So now what we can do is we can rerun this because I want to make sure I get the latest information together with the modified last. We're going to get Google Contact. Okay, and now this shouldn't be null. So let's check ahead and do modified on. Let's just find the node first. Google Contact updated. I'll put that at JSON. Property. I need property modified on. Yeah, or I can go for parameters, I think, which will have that as well. Yeah, interesting. Okay, that's fine. So I'll go property modified on. There we go. Now we have enough information, and we can see that whether or not that's occurred after that, right? So if it's occurred after that, then we want to do something. So let's just also do that first. So then we want to update Google Contact. So let's go ahead and we say update Google Contact. So update Google Contact, and specifically for that contact, so I'm going to do updates. Let's see, updates. Okay, wait, let's reset our values so that we have everything here. Contact ID, this is not existing anymore, so this needs to be specifically the Notion contact updated, and then grab that node. So let's go ahead and grab that. So property Google Contacts ID. I grab that from Google Contacts updated. So let's go ahead and do something like this, and then .json. So Google Contact ID, so node .json. There we go. So now we have that contact ID easy for us to access. I'm going to say update Google Contact, update Google Contact. And this ends up being something we can use. And let's also connect this if it's true, by the way. So if it's true, actually this already gives me the Google Contact ID as well. So technically I can pass the contact ID. Yeah, I think this is fine. Oh no, I want to get that from the if statement. So actually this is not okay. So I do need to grab that from the if statement. So let me just, and the reason for that, I'll just explain it in a second, but the reason for that is because it's important for you to get the latest information so that you know what you're working with. So let me just give you that perspective, and then you'll be able to understand why. So current node, JSON input, contact ID. So there we go. And then fields we want to update. So this is actually very similar to the one before. So if I want to, actually, I can just copy this because I want to do less work. So this is already here. I'm going to say update. No, you gotta do everything again anyway. All right. I tried, guys. I tried to save some time, but it's fine. What we can do is I'm just gonna make a quick screenshot of this so that I can just easily get that, and I don't have to think so much about it. So let's go ahead and go to Google Contact, and what we need is family name. Name. Oh, interesting. So for names, it doesn't update anymore. Whoa, that's super interesting. Wait. So if I do updates here, I can update addresses, birthdays, email addresses. Okay, so let's update birthdays first. Oh, no. This is grabbing all the... Okay. This is grabbing everything. Okay. That was confusing. Okay, cool. I'm just updating stuff. So I'm updating the family name first. Then I'm going to update the given name. Then I'm going to update the birthday. Then I'm going to update the emails in case I need to do that. And then I need to update the group. Update the group. My network. Again, it shouldn't be a problem, but just in case I need to do that. Notes, I can update that. Notes, I don't think I need to update, but let's just say that we need to update it as well, just to make it simple. And then phone for sure, let's update that. Phone for sure, update that. Okay, cool, let's do this now. So right now what we can do is we can go ahead and get the information from Notion. So what we want to do is grab the node from Notion contact updated, get that information, and then grab it and go. So what we're going to do is we're going to okay, wait, so just hold on a second because I think there is potentially a problem here. The reason why I didn't want to grab information from the top is because there's a situation where this true, only two of them are true, and that's where this, I didn't make sure the validity of the data doesn't go into the false component, right? So that basically I'm grabbing from the right one. So if there's 2 out of 3, okay, we'll test this ourselves, but if there's 2 out of 3, there might be a problem. So let's just try. So I'm gonna still grab the contact ID from the beginning then, just so that I'm safe. But basically what I can do here is I can go Notion contact updated. We can go ahead and grab the Google ID, right? So we still have that information. Family name, again, this one goes here, and then we're going to get the surname. I'm just gonna copy and paste this so that it's easier for me and faster. So given name is first name, given name. Okay, so it wasn't faster, never mind. Nodes, Google contact updated, output data, JSON, birthday, start dates. Cool. Notes is going to be the URL. So Notion contact updated, output data, JSON, URL, fantastic. And then phone number is home. Let's just always update the home. I think it'll be simple. And then we're gonna add the expression. Get on, nope. Notion contact updated, output data, and phone number. So we have phone number here. And I believe I'm missing email. So let's go ahead and add email. Add email. And then what we're going to do with email is home, and then email is an expression as well, and then Google contact or Notion contact updated. We're going to then grab our email. Okay. So I believe that's everything. So we have Don J, birthday, blah, blah, blah. So now if we update this, this should go ahead and update the information as we want it to. Let's see what happens. Fantastic. So what happens now is that I should still only have 3. It shouldn't have created new items. Oops, should be here. So I still have 3 items. That's fantastic. Everything still looks like it works as expected. So that's awesome. So they're all inside my network. They're all inside here. There's no extra information. That's fantastic. So now what I want to do is just one more thing. I want to just test, right? And it's all about testing now. So everything has already synced, right? So let's go ahead and grab this information. I'm going to grab this information again. And then I'm going to grab this information. So I want to see how many trues there are. There shouldn't be many trues. Okay, so they're all false. Perfect. So if I change only one of them, let's say John Smith became John Smith, you know, John Green, let's say. Okay, so John Green became John Green. Let's say for whatever reason they got married and he changed his last name. Fantastic. We're progressive here. And let's say his birthday got changed to the 17th, and then let's say his phone number had an extra thing. Basically, what I'm just trying to do is that the modified on has changed, right? The modified on date has changed. I'm also going to hide this as well. So modified on, we can keep that. So what I expect to happen is that when I pull this information up and I go all the way down the chain to go to this contact, and by the way, so I'm going to keep an eye on just John Smith right now, right? And then I go here, there should be only one true here. Fantastic. And that one true, I'm curious if that's going to properly trigger John Smith instead of anyone else, instead of Jane Doe. So let's go ahead and trigger that. So let's see who it pulled out. This one is, no, it is Jane. See, I knew that would happen. That's very frustrating. Okay, so it doesn't update John Smith. Because it doesn't know that John Smith is the one that needs to be updated. So the best thing to do right now is to see what information it's passing on. And I think what I need to do, let me just try to think about how I did it before. I believe how I did it before was I had this pass information in, and it happened one at a time. Yeah, so I need to do that. So I need to have this node, which is what's it called? Split into batches. There we go. Yeah, so this one is specifically the one I need because this will basically isolate the information. So let's go ahead and cut that cord, put this into here. Of course, we can move everything over as well, so everything gets moved. But what's going to be very helpful here is that if I do it one at a time, there will be no problems. So I'm going to split. So let's just call this one. Oh, actually, the easiest thing to do right now is to call this one Notion content updated and then switch everything over. But I don't think it happens like that, so that's unfortunate. But Notion updated Notion contact. So we're going to do it that way. And then we're going to say this is a batch size of 1. And what options? No reset is fine. Oops. No, that's not what I want. No reset. Perfect. I think that's good. So we're going to get Notion contact updated. It's going to get that information. I'm going to pass it into Google Contact. At this point, I'm going to need information here. Contact ID. I think it's okay to get it from there as well. But I think the most proper thing would be to get it like from here. So let's see how we can do that. So I think the best thing is to actually do the whole thing. So nodes, updated Notion contacts, output data, JSON. Let's grab the ID. So property Google ID. Again, I'm just trying to be as clear as possible. So if there's any nodes there, I'm going to use this node. So perfect. Let's go ahead, grab that information. We got the Google contact from there. So I'm just going to run that one time. So we got the Google contact from there, and ideally this still works. So instead of Notion contact updated, it's updated Notion contact. And then here, this is fine. This is getting it from the previous node. it should be okay. In the future, we might want to change that as well. That was the same node, whoops. And then we click go. And then here is where I'll have to update a lot of stuff, because contact ID should be coming from this one, updated Notion contact. Jane Doe should be also coming from this one, updated Notion contact, updated Notion contact, like that. Birthday should also be coming from there. Let's just make sure the email is there as well. So this is really, you have to be really careful here, because if you miss one, then you're going to get a lot of bad information, and you want to make sure you have good information as much as you can. So there, that's good. So now we have this updated Notion contact, 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 and finally updated Notion contact. Fantastic. So what we have now is a loop. So no matter what, we're always going to loop back to this, or false loops back to this, so that we know that this continuously runs. We'll click save. We're going to duplicate this, by the way. So every hour, we're also going to check if the Notion contact is updated. So actually this is every minute. Every minute, every hour, doesn't really matter. Again, we have unlimited calls anyways, so it doesn't really stop you. But let's say every 5 minutes, just because I don't want to overwhelm. Every 5 minutes, we'll have a poll. So every 5 minutes, we're going to do that. And now finally, we can go ahead and try this out. So what we want to do is we want to run this. Again, it hasn't updated this John Smith yet, so it definitely needs to run. So what we want to do right now is we want to, I believe if I just press at the end of this, it should run everything. Let's just see. If it doesn't, then we'll just start the sequence and let it go. Fantastic. So only one went, only one updated. I can just check here first which one got updated. John Green. Fantastic. So now what we can do is we can refresh, and now it's John Green with everything different. And yeah, that's it. Holy crap, guys, we finished it all. I'm so happy that we now have this synchronization. Again, the moment now that we press active, right, and save it, what's going to happen is every single hour, it's going to find new Notion contacts, and it's going to add it to our Google contacts. And every 5 minutes, every time something is updated, it's going to update there as well. So now all I have to do from now on is just update Notion, and I'll always have an up-to-date record inside our Google contacts. Now, can we do it the other way? Yeah, probably as well, right? So that's up to you on how you want to handle that. Again, today, I think we only have enough time to just do the one-way sync. In the future, if you want to do two-way, that's perfectly fine as well. Just to give you a hint on how to get started, all you have to do is just get the Google contacts, right? Get all of them, and then check them for their raw data, check them for last updated, match that with the last updated in Notion, and then just do the sync that way. That'll be really fun. Try it out. Let me know if you've done that. And of course, I'll also build that in my own time as well, so that I can share that with you guys in a blog post or something of that sort, if you want to check out how that is done. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you guys so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week and a great start to your weekend. Hope you learned something, and please take care and have fun.